those of you who have been listening, those know that we have just been talking to Alderman Joe Moore about the participatory budgeting process that is taking place in our ward. And I had the honor of running into a friend, Christine Wellman. Now I'm a good friend you are now.
Yeah.
I should know Wellman. I actually had a roommate named Davy Wellman. We talked about if you were related. Yeah. But you were here the other day, and it turned out that you're involved in this participatory budgeting process, and you're real active with the, I guess, what is it called, the gardening committee?
Well, we're actually called Transition 2020.
Transition 2020.
Yes, 2020 referring to the year 2020. And we're part of Transition Rogers Park, which is an organization that is dealing with the issues of peak oil, climate change, and the economy, and bringing the community together to navigate through the challenges that will bring to us. And the garden is one way of dealing with that, because you're talking about how do we feed ourselves.
Well, on this, the vote that's going to take place at the Chicago Math and Science Academy on April 10th, there are 36 things people can vote on. Do you know the name of the one that you're representing, the gardening one?
Community garden.
Community garden. Well, let's talk about what is in that. What has your committee been like? What have you discussed? Have you talked about gardens on the roofs, gardens that exist? Share a little bit of information about the dynamics of that committee.
Okay, the group is about 20 people, 10 of whom are generally very active. And we started out actually talking about a community garden in the park. That was the genesis. We were aware of the Schreiber Park activity, and we thought there would be an opportunity, since there was a waiting list there, to see if there was another park space that we could get to here. We were aware that there are other gardens occurring on roofs, such as here at the Heartland, but we really were interested in a park-based garden that would reach out to the community, to those segments that would like to garden. And so that's what we've been pursuing at the Dubkin Park and also at Potawatomi. At Dubkin Park will be an allotment garden, and we were talking about that in terms of people being able to grow their own food, learn where food comes from, an opportunity for the children in the community to learn where their food comes from. It's not just plastic wrapped in bags. And then the Potawatomi garden is an ornamental garden which will feature the native flora of Illinois, which many of us may not be familiar with, and learn about what actually grew here and can still grow here.
What are some of the things that used to grow here that we could bring back?
And I can't tell you
and
that.
And would it include horseradish? I actually, I love horseradish, and I read a wonderful little article in the New York Times the other day about growing your own horseradish, and so I sent it to everybody, and I see my lovely wife Paige over there, and hopefully she, who's been cleaning up in the back, will get us some of our own horseradish.
And I'd like to tell you the answer to that, but our expert's not here with me to tell you.
And who was that? That was Damon Taylor?
Damon Taylor, yes.
Well, Damon, wherever you are, we're having a good time. Christine Wellman and I are up here talking about the community gardening projects that may or may not get funded by the discretionary budget that the alderman gets each year. You mentioned a couple of parks. Potawatomi we all know well. The Potawatomi Indians, Native Americans used to live here before they were driven off to some other place, including Kansas. But Potawatomi Park is a beautiful place, been around a long time, and you're talking about an ornamental garden there.
Right.
So that's going to have indigenous Illinois, Chicago,
yes.
Swamp by the water, whatever it means. We're going to have all kinds of things growing there. Where's the other park, Dubkin Park?
Dubkin Park is at Fargo and Ashland. It's a little triangular park. It was chosen because it was not terribly active. People do use it to walk dogs and just enjoy the space, but it was an opportunity, because it's very sunny, to use that space to put a garden in there, and we had the support of the advisory council for the park to do that.
So when you say an allotment garden, that means that all those people who want to have a garden, whether they've done it before or not, they get their name on a list.
Yes.
And then somehow you're going to choose how they get chosen, because there's only so much land.
That's right. Most likely a lottery.
It's not going to be like Oklahoma, where we had covered wagons and we start the race and everybody drives to get their chunk of land.
Oh.
How are you going to do this? You're going to do cards? You're going to do numbers?
Well, right now I have this vision of people running down Fargo. What our intention is, we have members of our garden committee who are in tune with various immigrant groups here in the community that have a background in gardening, and we're going to be working with these community groups to set aside a number of the allotments for those groups to use as they choose. The rest we'll be putting up as a lottery. That's the fairest way to do it, and it takes care of any concerns about favoritism and so on. And then you have the allotment, and you can grow whatever you like on it.
And where's Schreiber Park?
Schreiber Park is down at Bosworth and Clark. It's right next to the Clark Devon hardware store.
And that is an active garden already?
Yes, it is.
And that one's filled up?
They have a waiting list.
And that's a different ward than us?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either.
Yeah.
We'll have to ask the alderman when we get a chance. There are a number of active gardeners in our ward. You know, this ward for a long time, before it became the norm in a lot of places, you would have corners that would just be glorious in the summer with vines and sunflowers and various plants growing. We have the Rogers Park Garden Group has been very active. Before that, there was the Arbor Day Society. I remember over at Loyola Park in the old days, 20, 30 years ago, they would have their sales of garden stuff. Judy Eyring, a number of people were involved. Can you tell us about what active gardening groups exist already in our ward? And are some of them maybe participating in your process?
Right at the moment, we've reached out to the Rogers Park Garden Group. However, where we're going with the park garden is not where they're headed with the parkways. We have not spoken to any of the other garden groups aside from Schreiber. At this point, we've only been active for a few months ourselves, and a lot of our time has been spent working on the details of how do you get a garden in place with the park district. But we do have members who are gardeners themselves. In fact, Damon, who is not able to be here today, is taking a course in master gardening. So he's going to be outstanding. And then we have Milton Dixon, who is engaged with permaculture. He's been trained on that. So we have people, even within the group, with a lot of skills.
I'm looking over the notes about what you guys are talking about, and there's a few things that I think I'm just going to read them off to some folks.
Sure.
We're talking about building bridges across cultural, race, ethnicity, generations, be a source of nutritious food for the allotment holders, learn and exercise a life skill, growing your own food, learn about the role of food in various cultures, teach children about the food. You mentioned that. I like that one. And because kids, when they're little, they want to learn.
Right.
They want to learn real bad. And then the proposed location was chosen, and we're talking about the Dubkin Garden.
Yes.
On its manageable size, sunny space for growing food, no conflict with existing park programs, and supported by the local advisory groups. Always good to have people on board.
Oh, yeah.
Talk briefly about the, building bridges across cultures and ethnicity and generations.
Well, one of the things that the garden can do, and we've learned about this also from Schreiber, is that when you have an allotment garden, you have people coming in to garden. They're from various places. That's a gathering space where they can meet together, and it's not within the framework of work, school, or anything structured, and it's something that's more organic that people can relate to, and it's a shared interest in that garden. And now you have an opportunity to talk about something you both understand, and that starts the process.
All of you who are real excited about the community gardening aspect of our lives here in Rogers Park can vote. I can't tell you how to vote, but you can vote on Saturday, April 10th at the Chicago Math and Science Academy from 9 till 3, and that's at Toohey and Clark. And there are 36 choices in this participatory budgeting process. You get to pick 8, and then the money's going to get divvied up, as Joe Moore, the alderman, said briefly, or at length before. I'm here with Christine Wellman, and we're talking about the gardening committee of that process. I just want to share with the listeners how exciting this is. For many years, we've had a few things growing on our roof, but last year at the Heartland, we made a step forward. A woman named Stacia Timonaire, who is actively working at the No Exit these days, as well as Katie Hogan, who took the co-founder of the Heartland, who took the Master Gardening course. We have like several hundred containers up there. The buckets may not be as good as the boxes. We built a little greenhouse. We're actively getting ready for this year. And I just want to say that those people who are interested in helping out are always welcome to contact us, because there's a lot of work to do up there. And clearly we can't grow enough food to meet the restaurant's needs, but I think it has inspired other people to be involved and to take notice of the possibilities of urban agriculture.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, absolutely.
Christine Wellman, do you have any parting comments you'd like to make?
Yeah, we've been heavily lobbying for ourselves. I just want to give a shout out to our supporters.
She twisted my arm.
A shout out to our supporters from the dog-friendly area. They've been working with us in getting the word out to the community about the vote. And we see this as an opportunity for both of us to cultivate community, and we encourage everyone to please show up at the CMSA and cast that ballot.